What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Going to bring you back to my hometown, a dude that I grew up with, a kid that I was in, homes with, a dude that went and did a bunch of time, been in the street, once upon a time was a robber, played no games. But anyway, Leroy Davis Jr., your father was a pro boxer at one time. You were a fighter. Tell the people who you are, where you're from. Let's talk about you and your story, brother.
What's going on, my brother? My name is Leroy Davis Jr. I'm from the west side of Rochester, Charlotte, Genesee, Thurston, Jefferson, all those places. My father, he was a professional boxer and a singer, my brother. That's me. I used to go by the name of Bad News when I was gang banging. When I in Rochester in the streets from Leroy Davis Jr. I went from the guard Carmel, then went from Bad News, changed my life. I don't live that life anymore. I go by Leroy Davis Jr., the civilian, my brother. That's me.
That's what's up. Let's talk about life in Rochester, man. Definitely a dangerous city. What was life like growing up over there by Thurston and Chi-Li and all that stuff?
Well, when I grew up, I really grew up with my grandparents. And I grew up on Elmdorf, over there between West Side, over there by West Side Terrace, Wellington, between Wellington and Woodbine, right there. I lived on Elmdorf, but I grew up on Thurston because my mom back in the day when crack came out back in '85. So happens my mom had fell victim to the crack game. When she fell victim to the crack game, I used to live on Thurston and Anthony Street. You know what I'm saying? Even though she did crack and all that and sold her body, she was my best friend. And from time when I was living on Thurston and Anthony Street, from like 9 years old to from 7 to maybe 11 till I went to DFY, I was really actually living by myself because my mother was in the street. Now, on Thurston and Anthony, you got a house right here on Thurston and Lehigh, too, where my aunt lived at, with my first cousin, with Josiah. I used to go from there to there when my mom was in the street and things of that nature, and sleep over there and things of that nature when I was a kid.
Talk about that life, right? Like I've mentioned before that my father used to get high. My father was like the famous white, I hate to say it, brother, my real father was like the famous white crackhead over in the ghost town area, right? But what was it like, man, to have, you said that your mother was your best friend, but what's it like, man, when your mom sells the food stamps or, when you're heating the house with the oven? I mean, this is the life that we lived as kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Tell the people what it's like, man, to live that life. Well, you feel sad as a kid, depressed as a kid?
Well, as a kid, let me say this, right? For a time, I didn't really know I knew who my father was. I'm named after my father, but I wasn't raised on my father's side. I was raised on my mother's side. You know what I'm saying? My father had a drug addiction too. He passed away too back in the 80s from AIDS, but he was a professional boxer and singer. You know what I'm saying? He was a great man though. And like you were saying, dealing with my mom's, when I was raised with my mom's, living with her with the heat and all things of that nature, she was a victim to all those. I was a victim to all those things because she was on drugs. But even though I had my grandmother that lived on Elmdorf and my cousin that lived across the street and my other cousins and them, I always had them, though I could always go to them. But at this time, from 7 to maybe 10, they didn't really know what was going on because I was sheltered. I didn't know. Didn't say nothing to nobody. I used to keep it in. Frustration. I used to go to 16 school, get in trouble, fight in the school. The principal had to walk me home from school one day, and my mom wasn't even home. You know what I'm saying? My mom, they had to take me back to the school, call the police, and then I had to get the pins and things of that nature. So that caused a lot of frustration, my brother.
When you say pins, some people don't know what that is. Person in need of supervision, right?
Yes, person in need of supervision. Person needs supervision is this, you can get it all types of ways, but how I got it was that I was in school getting in trouble, always fighting. And then I'm frustrated because at this time, I don't know how to read. So now at this time, I knew how to read, but I don't understand what I'm comprehending, what I'm reading, which goes on in the neighborhood, all over the neighborhood. So now I'm fighting, getting suspended. Nobody know what's going on. My aunt still don't know what's going on until I go to my grandmother's house to let my aunt know that I moved in with my grandmother, things of that nature. But pens is it's like probation, a step before probation.
Let me ask you this, right? Doing a lot of fighting in school, getting in trouble. I mean, you said that your mother was getting high, man. Life wasn't always easy for none of us, man. I remember at one time I had 2 pairs of pants to my name, right? And a couple T-shirts, man. I wore the same pants sometimes 2 or 3 days. Did kids pick on you, man, when you were younger? Were you, less fortunate? Were kids picking on you? Is that why you were fighting?
It's funny that you say that, right? when I was younger, I wasn't a great fighter, but I always stayed in trouble, always getting in fights with kids and things of that nature. And I wasn't a good dresser back in the day. I ain't have all the fly clothes. I used to wear my brother them clothes, my older cousin them clothes. So that's one of the reasons why I used to get in trouble. Like when I used to go to Southwest Coast, I used to go play football over there on Arnett. It's a coincidence that you say that, right? You know how you have a childhood bully, right? So the kid by the name, I'm gonna say it. That's my boy. That's my brother right now. He's a good football player. Him, you know, Maurice Jackson. I think he did with the mayor. I think he teach a football team, a high school football team. Maurice Jackson was the quarterback of the team. You have a kid named Spanky Albert Jefferson. He's every time I used to go over there in Arnett, he used to beat me up all the time and things of that nature. We used to fight and things of that nature. So yeah, but that's my best friend right now, though. We talk all the time on the phone and things. I'm gonna give him a shout out to Gorgeous Gangster. That's my boy.
You know, I grew up like that. You know, I hate to say this, man, embarrass my sister, but my sister always had lice. We were kind of dirty. Kids picked on us. And I think that that's what made me a fighter, man. You know, we grew up together. So I
Yeah,
was a fighter back then. I mean, still am if I have to be. But, you know, I think that that shaped us, man, getting picked on, having to
yeah,
fight back, you know, the depression, the sadness. And eventually, man, you kind of turn into a dangerous dude in the street, right?
that's a fact. That's a fact.
You think you turning into a dangerous dude was kind of, you know, because of the life that you were living?
I think it's a coincidence you say that. One of my students, he asked me that the other day. He said, "What made you turn from what you was now to what you was then? Because you didn't have. I looked up to you. Who did you look up to? At that time, I didn't look up to nobody in the street because that I felt that I didn't like drug dealers. I'm gonna be honest, right? I'm gonna tell you why. Because I seen my mom on drugs a lot, right? So when I came out the house, like in 91, 92, when I came out the house, started playing with guns and stuff like that, things in that nature, um, I started picking up the gun and I started robbing people, like for sneakers and stuff like that. So then when I started robbing people and stuff like that, I started robbing drug dealers. So when I started robbing drug dealers, it wasn't just the average drug dealer I was robbing. I started robbing people who was bullying me in school back in the times and things of that nature. And then I started robbing bigger drug dealers and stuff like that. So
You're out there in the street. You're out there in the street robbing people, man. You're just getting whoever you can get. You're getting a couple of dollars, putting some money in your pocket. You ever worried about losing your life out there?
no, because I actually didn't wasn't robbing for the. Did you ever heard of a saying that you started robbing so much that you didn't care about the money? It was just a drilling, and you just want to see fear in people.
I mean, I've heard that. I've heard that about a bunch of different things. The violence, just it's not about this or it's not about. It's just the way that you feel. You like to do it.
It wasn't about the money with me. It's about the fear that when I come around people and rob them and how they fear me and how they talk about me. I didn't even think about death, my brother. I didn't even care about death. I thought it wasn't no death around the corner.
So let me ask you this: when you pull up, you know, you walk up to the store, bad news jumps out the whip. People are kind of on edge, like, oh, here comes this motherfucker right here, man. He might rob us. Are people thinking that in the street back then?
Not to toot my own horn, my brother, because I changed my life. I think I was one of the most wanted person in Rochester dealing with robbing, dealing on the west side. Anybody tell you that in the street, NYPD. Robert Duffy had told me. Remember Robert Duffy back in the day?
Of course, of course.
He had a nerve. He told me that when I was like 16, 15 years old, he told me the next time we ever catch you, we hope something ever happens to you, we hope you die. All this because we know you about all the robberies, you know about murders, and I never talked to him about that, things of that nature. But I changed my life and I did my time. But I think I was the most fierce person in the world in Rochester. Anybody will tell you that, my brother.
You end up doing a lot of time, but back in the day, me and you were in a kids' home, right? What was that, about 91, 92?
Like 91, 91, 90, 91, 92. Yeah, 91, 99, 92.
Tell the people why you ended up in that kids' home. Was it for a robbery?
For a robbery. Westfall robbing the Westfall Road for a robbery. It was I robbed another kid. I robbed another kid. He was selling drugs. I took his coat, his shoes, and his money. It was for a gun charge.
So back then, you know, when we were younger, you were what they would call a stick-up kid, right?
Pick up kid. That's a fact.
So you were a stick-up kid, but eventually, man, you end up doing some bigger shit. They end up sending you to prison. How old are you when you first go to New York State prison?
I went to prison in 1997, 97B 1419. So I was like 17 years old, 18 years old.
How old are you now?
I'm 45.
I just turned 46, 96B0101. That was my state number. And I remember being in the county with you. I remember all of that stuff back then, right? So you're going to New York State prison. What are you going to prison for at 17?
I went to prison with 1.5 to 3 for a robbery.
1.5 to 3 for a robbery. What's your prison? What prison do you go to?
First prison I went to, it was shot camp.
So you get a robbery third, you cop out, you go to shot camp. Do you get out? Do you do the program, or do you end up in a real prison?
I ended up going to a real prison. I went to Washington.
I've been to Washington. I hated that place.
I got a fight in the shot camp. I punched somebody in the face in shot camp. They sent me to Washington.
What's Washington like? It's all young dudes over there. What's it like for you when you get there?
When I get there, it was different for me because they was calling me country upstate dude from Rochester. At this time, I'm God body at this time. They was calling me the God Carmel at this time. The God Carmel actual facts. I'm God body. It's wild up there, mad cuttings and things of that nature.
You talk about cutting, man. Tell the people what's going on in New York State prison when you talk about cuttings.
Well, I got into a fight in Washington. They sent me to Great Meadow Correctional Facility in 1999. I went there in 1999. And at this time, I'm God body at this time. But then I turned blood like in I turned blood in 99.
So me and you were in Comstock, man. We're over there with Corey Sparrow, Boxing Shot, Corey Sparrow, Sean Glover's over there, Evil's over there.
Evil.
These are all dudes our age that got 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah, facts.
What was Comstock like? Pretty wild place, man.
When I went to Comstock in 99, it was crazy because they had old dude. Well, when I got there, they was about to retire named Herbert and German. They was out there at their last bit of time. So I'm be honest. When I went to Comstock, I was kind of shook because it was different from Washington. You know what I'm saying? So then when I went there, I started seeing the old timers there, see how it was run. Comstock was crazy. All the cells, how people getting stabbed in the hole, and then you got to learn. It's different rules from Washington to from Great Meadow Correctional Facility to Washington because it's like different because you're over there playing games. You can't go over there and behind the wall playing games.
So you end up doing your time. You get out of jail. You go back to the street. What's life like when you get out of jail? When you get out of state prison?
I came home. I think it was like 2001 when I came home in 2001. When I came home, I had a different swag than I had than when I first went to prison. What I mean is my energy was different. I'm coming home, I'm 230. And then I didn't learn that when I went to jail the first time. When I coming home this time, I didn't learn that while I'm in prison. So I think I'm the man. So now when I went to jail as a little kid when I'm robbing, now I'm coming home like with a swag that I'm robbing anything that's moving. Big drug dealers now, things of that nature. I'm trying to get my name. I'm trying to get my name known. Bad news home. Well, this and this and this and this and this and that. And then come and find out that wasn't the way.
It wasn't the way, right? But you end up catching another state bid, right? You catch a big one, right?
Yeah, I catch another state bid. It wasn't a big state bid. When I came home when I came home in 2001. When I came home in 2001, I'm in the town, west side, east side, north side, robbing people. Then I turn around and did a robbery over there on the west side. I get shot. When I get shot, I do a robbery. When I do the robbery, I get shot maybe a few weeks later before my birthday. My birthday, April 17th. So I got shot a week before my birthday. So when I get shot, I go into a coma, get caught with a pistol on me, and then I caught my other next case. Then that's how I got my next bid.
Let's talk about that, right? You're in the process of doing a robbery. Who you robbing? You don't have to say their name, but drug dealers and big drugs.
Big drug dealers, big drugs, yeah.
So you go there to rob them, but they hit you up, and you end up in a coma. What did they hit you with?
A 4.5.
Shot you in the back, right?
Shot me in the back, and it put me right into a coma.
Does that still affect you to this day? Because I know earlier you had.
Yeah, it still affects me to this day. I it cut half of my stomach. I don't got no spleen, and It gave me high blood pressure too. Gave me high blood pressure.
Let me ask you this: you get shot. Are you conscious for a little bit though? Or are you thinking like, damn, it's over with, I'm dying, or are you just all the way out?
When I got shot from a distance. I got shot on my back. So when I got shot on my back, I went straight into a coma. So it was in broad daylight. They locked someone up. So while I'm in a coma, when I got out the coma, the police come to my bedside. Actually, is this the person? I said, no, that's not the person. That person is like a family member to me. So the person that who had locked up, they let that person go. So since I didn't tell them the person, they charged me for the gun that I had on me. But I told them, I don't know who it was who shot me. The person that y'all got locked up, that's not the man who shot me. And they let that man go.
How much time do you get for that gun that they find on you?
What did I get? 5 years? Yeah, I did 5. I got 5 years. Was it 5 years? Hold on. 2003. Hell no. Yeah, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I got 5 years.
So you get a 5-year sentence, right?
Yeah.
Now you're back in prison. Where you at? New York State Prison. Where you at?
New York State Prison, Comstock, Clinton, Auburn, 5 Point, Sing Sing. I'm going for different jails because I'm gang banging now. I'm back in the move. I'm back in prison. I'm in a move. I'm gang banging. I'm going here, getting to the bag, things of that nature.
What matters to you most? Is it your gang? Like, yo, I'm a blood and I'm a blood in and out, and this is what it is.
Back then, I was going by the name of Bad News. Only thing I cared about was the game. I ain't even care about self.
You didn't care about yourself.
I ain't care about myself. It was all about the game.
You say it's all about the gang. I know back then, right? When I was in Comstock with you at the same time, right? There was a lot of the Bloods were beefing with who were they beefing with back then? The Nietas real hard, the Spanish dudes, right?
The Bloods is beef with everybody. They beef with upstate people, Bloods, their own people, but the Bloods they beef with one another, man. Most of the time.
You ever have to put it in when what we call in the feds work? You ever have to cut somebody with a razor blade?
I had to actually, I had to put in a lot of work. I put in a whole lot of work, my brother. I even got cut myself, actually. But y'all had to put in a whole lot of work.
Talk about that scar on your face. Turn your face so that people can see, man. There's some young dudes watching might need to see that.
Right. Oh, right here.
What they hit you with a razor? It's on the other side.
A can top.
Hit you with a can top. So in New York State Prison, they got tuna fish cans, they got corned beef cans, and they got can openers. So someone takes the can top and hits you in the face with it, right? What's it over?
I'm gonna keep it real. I was in Auburn. When I was in Auburn Correctional Facility, right? So I get to I ain't gonna say his name, no, you know what I'm saying? When I get to Auburn, I'm riding with the dudes with Brooklyn. I mess with a lot of old timers for Brooklyn. So when I get there, he was extorting a dude from the town at this time, right? So while he was extorting the dude from the town want me to stop the situation. I told him I'm not gonna get involved in that situation. I know that's my man, but I'm not gonna get involved with it because that was some shit happened before I got here. So when I went to the commissary, he told me to come to the commissary. He came from behind and cut me with a can top. That's when there was the Brooklyn War and the Rochester War in Auburn, like in 2003, I think it was. It was Rochester and the Brooklyn War. It was over me in Auburn.
So dude cuts you in the face, man. What's your reaction? I mean, you spin around, you start working. What are you doing?
He cut me. We about to start to shake, but we would be able to shake because I was cut off. I was cut off with some other dudes involved. You know what I'm saying? That's why it was a big war. That's why they had changed. If you've been to Auburn before, it's 2 sides. That's why at the time they had closed that side for years. Because it was a big war, the Rochester War and the Brooklyn War.
Wins.
Huh?
Ends up winning.
To be honest, Brooklyn. Because there was more, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna tell you the honest truth. It was a bunch of I was messing with a bunch of old timers. There's a difference with old timers and a bunch of young dudes.
But the Rochester dudes, man, pretty much everywhere you go. I mean, I'm not just saying it because I'm from the town or whatever, but dudes get busy from the Rock, right?
Oh no, listen. Hell yeah, I love my town. Hell yeah. I always had a saying, right? There's a difference between New York City niggas and Rochester niggas. They come out the house with a gun, go to Rikers Island with a razor. In my town, you come out the house with a gun, go to the county, you got to use your hands. That's the difference.
Hey man, a lot of dudes get busy from the town, man.
That's a fact.
So you end up doing 5 years, right? You end up getting out of prison. What's your life like when you get out of prison now? When you leave New York State prison, do you change your life? Do you end up with a new case? What happens?
Instead of me going to Rochester, I met a man by the name of AZ on Nathaniel Jackson. He's from Brooklyn. He's a legend in Bushwick. Um, he kind of raised me in the state. Instead of me going back to the town, I went to his mother house in Brooklyn on Chauncey Street between Bushwick and Broadway in Brooklyn.
He lets you go to his mother's house when you get out. Is he out or is he still in?
He came home. Now he went back.
You were allowed to stay at his mother's house while he was back in prison?
While he was in prison, didn't even know he was coming home. He sent me because I was getting money with him when he was in jail. We was in jail together. We was getting some money together. So instead of me going back to the town, we had that much closer relationship. I went to go stay with his mother in Brooklyn. I paroled there and everything. That's Grandma. God bless her. Yeah, Grandma Jackson. Yeah, Grandma Jackson. She passed away.
Did you miss going back to Rochester? Why did you not want to go back to Rochester?
I miss it to this day. That's why I called a lot of people from the town. The reason why I didn't go back to Rochester because I wanted to change my life. And I know by all the harm that I did to these people in the town that they got kids. That's what actually my kids' age. That's 23, that's 19. And they come back. And then once a gunman, where I come from, once a gunman put his gun down, you might as well lay down yourself.
Put the gun down. There's still some people out here looking for you. They don't forget.
So what I've been doing since I've been home, well, actually before I get there, we get to that part what I'm doing now, dealing with that situation.
Well, let's talk about this. So you go to Brooklyn, you're living a different life. I know you end up getting jammed up with the police. You win a pretty big lawsuit, right? Tell the people about what happens.
Well, I call it the greatest story that I was never told. I had came home in 2014. When I came home in 2014, which is Miss Jackson house on Chauncey Street between Bushwick and Broadway, 642 Chauncey Street. It's under the J line in Brooklyn. You got a J line right here. You got Bushwick here, and when you go under the J line, you in Bed-Stuy. So it's a chicken spot on the Bushwick side. So I'm going to the chicken spot. I got chicken in the bag. So while I'm coming back with chicken in the bag, now I see the unmarked car following me. While I see the unmarked car following me, it's cars in between me and them. So now, when it's cars in between me and them, it's snowing outside. So while they coming towards me, I drop the bag and I walk into the house. So when I drop the bag, he gonna say he heard a loud sound. He said there was a gun into it. So while I'm trying to walk into the house, they wouldn't let me into my house. He took my key and went into my house and came in my house with a gun and said that he found the gun inside the chicken bag.
And that's not what really happened.
That's not what really happened. My whole house is on camera. There's a shelter across the street from my house. And at this time, when they went into my house, my grandmother there, which is Miss Jackson, I got other tenants that live there. I got a bunch of older neighbors next to me. Mr. Jackson, he an older Jamaican guy who testified in my trial. They put the gun into my house. They put the gun in my house and put it on me, saying he been knowing me for years. Like I told the judge, how do he know me for years? And this is my first time ever in New York City. The officer blatantly lied.
You go to trial. Do you blow trial or do you win?
No, I went to trial and I won. I say this all the time. I'm the first person with a record like mine that went to trial all the way and beat them and went to the feds and beat them. All 12 jury said not guilty. Judge Weinstein.
Judge Weinstein, one of the best judges ever, man. Very close with Judge Gleason.
Oh, yep.
So you end up go to a federal trial. What are they trying to get you to cop out to, though? Do you remember what their cop out was?
They try to get me to cop out to I think it's add up to 5 years. I forgot how many months is that. They add up to 5 years.
60 months.
Yeah, what happened was this. When I went to the feds, I didn't know nothing about the feds. I thought it was like the state. So I'm going up in there. Now you kicking it in the state. I didn't know what hot was. So when I go in there and they tell me, yo, listen, you got to go here, you got to go there, because I'm playing like I'm this and I'm that. They said, no, it don't work that way. They gonna tell on you this and this and this and this and this and this and that. So now when I went into the feds, this is what happened. My lawyer said, listen, they want you to take 5 years. I said, I'm not 5 years. He said, if you come out to 5 years, Mr. Davis, they can enhance you, and then you're gonna face 30 years in prison because all your records, the gun charges you caught, the misdemeanors you caught, and things of that nature. I said, oh hell no, I ain't copping out no shit like that. So I went through all the minutes, all that. I didn't know nothing about the law at this time. So at this time, I said, damn, I gotta get through all this. So it's an old time by the name of Shoeshine. He passed away. Legendary Jay-Z talk about Shoeshine. He was teaching me about the law. Tyrone Hunter, which is C Black. They some old timers from Brooklyn and stuff like that. They was teaching me about the law. So I went to trial, and then I went to trial and I won and beat him for $500,000.
So you beat him and then you sue him and you get $500,000.
I beat him and I sued him. Reason why I beat him because it was against NYPD. The feds didn't pick me up at first. NYPD picked me up and lied. It was a difference. Well, the feds was never on my back. NYPD lied and put a gun on me and lied. It was coincidence because of my record. They said they found drugs and guns. So that's I think that's a felon with a gun and drugs. So they gave me that, and then the feds had picked it up. So now I'm not really fighting the feds. I'm fighting against the words against NYPD, federal custody holding me, and they charging me now.
Talk about that lawsuit, right? You talk about the lawsuit. You end up suing these cats. Do they settle or do you go to a trial for the lawsuit?
No, they settle for $500,000. They settled for actually more than $500,000. I got $500,000 cash.
You got $500,000 cash, man. You've been in the street all your life, robbing, mother drug addicted, father dies, grew up in poverty, vicious cycle of poverty. Now you end up with $500,000 after doing all this time. What's it like to get $500,000, brother?
I'm gonna tell you what it's about, my brother. It's different because I'm gonna tell you what happened, right? I'm gonna be honest. My 19-year-old sitting over there. The woman that I got in my life right now, we've been together for 10 years now, right? At this time, remember I told you who AZ was, right? Or the one that I came to Brooklyn and all that. His daughter, I call him my sister, right? So this whole time, I didn't know his daughter was trying to line me up. Now, this is going on. His daughter listen, my whole life, a nigga could never line me up with a female, but my guard is down because of AZ and this thing of this nature. So what happened was this. I came to her house in Staten Island. Now, this is what my wife told me. We've been together for 10 years. She told me this about 7 years ago. She was scared, so she told me She told me this 7 years ago. She said, when you came to Staten Island to Naima house, that was an all lineup. You supposed to pick one of the girls and line you up and take your money and run. It was a coincidence that I was the one that had talked to you. She said, you don't remember you came to my house the same night and you never left, things of that nature? Fact.
So, all right, go ahead. I'm listening.
So now, me and her, she's my best friend, everything of that nature. But first thing when I got the $500,000, me and her together, when I got the $500,000, I had did intravenous. I had got my twins, Knowledge and Culture, my two twin sons, Knowledge and Culture. They had changed my life. And then I bought my studio, my record label, and things of that nature. And invested money here, invested money there, things of that nature. $500,000 is okay.
Definitely kept you out of the street, though, didn't it?
It definitely kept me out the street. No, $500,000 didn't keep me out the street. What kept me out the street was Knowledge and Culture and the woman that I'm with now. The $500,000 didn't keep me out the street.
That's what's up. That's a good answer. I'm glad you answered that way, brother. So people can realize, man, there's bigger things that keep you on the right path, right?
Yeah, the woman that I have right now, and all my kids, my 8 kids, and Knowledge and Culture, my twins, those are my last kids. They're 7 years old. And the woman that I have right now. The reason why I'm able to stay out the street with her because as me being an aggressive male, a man's man, I need a woman that can be able to I can tell her everything. She's gonna be a yes man to me. I don't need no yes man. I need a fighter.
That's what's up. So now you got your studio, you did all of that stuff. You ain't been back in jail since, right?
I ain't been in jail in about 14 years. I ain't been back in jail since. I started a youth program in Staten Island called Hands Up, Guns Down. I sent some kids to college. I help some kids. I teach kids boxing If you look on my page, my twins, they box. I help people get jobs, things of that nature. My maintenance things and stuff like that. I started some stuff called Ain't No Hood Like Fatherhood also.
I see you bop around a lot. Is that from being shot?
No, that's not for being shot. That's just from being how I speak too. No, I caught Bell palsy. Bell palsy is a form of like a stroke, things of that nature. When you argue, I had caught Bell palsy. That's why you see a lot of I slob a lot right there too. But I started this right here too. FINAO, it stands for failure is not an option. FINAO, failure is not an option.
Failure is not an option. Hey, man, that's what's up, man. You turned your life around, man. You were a dangerous dude in the street. I know you personally, right?
Yeah.
We know each other, man.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad to see that you turned your life around, man.
Yeah,
Let's talk a little bit. Let's take you back to prison because we do a lot of prison content over here, right?
That's a fact.
What's some of the wildest things you've seen in New York State prison? We talk about the feds all the time, but what about New York State prison? Is it dangerous?
Yeah. If you're in a gang, if you go to prison and mind your business in the state, you'll be good. But if you're in a gang, your own kind gonna snake you, cut you, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? The most wildest thing I've seen in prison, person get stabbed and die right in his cell.
Stabbed and died right where in Comstock?
That was in Comstock and B block. That was in B block. That was like in 2000. Well, I ain't gonna say that because I was on Rikers Island. The wildest shit I ever seen was on Rikers Island. A dope fiend died right next to me because he couldn't get no hit or nothing, just died. We was in the cell on Rikers Island for 8 days.
He was just going through it.
He was just going through it. The police didn't do nothing. He died right there.
You think the things that you've seen in prison and all the shit in the street affected you mentally and emotionally?
Yes, I think it's because to this day my kids say it sometimes too. Because to this day, right now, I wake up every morning by 5 o'clock, and my kids up every morning at 6, and they're in bed by 8. I still go by that structure. My 19-year-old sitting over there right now. I still move by that structure to this day.
Are you a stern father?
What you say, Kamani? Yes. He said, yes, I'm a stern father.
And no games. You don't want your kids in the street. You don't want them to live the life that you had to live, right?
My kids, the streets never raised my kids. Never.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad.
I got everything in my house. Boxing. My kids play chess. All my kids live in my house. All 8 of them and my 2 grandkids.
You were in Rochester. When you were in Rochester, I know you talked about the Southwest Colts. I used to play for the 10th Ward Tigers. You guys used to beat us all the time. And then I know you box. Where'd you box at? Montgomery with Miss Pete?
Miss Pete in Montgomery. And then my father was a boxer. My twins, they box now. Knowledge coach, they box now.
You ever box at Baton Street with Laura Johnson?
Yeah, I did with Laura Johnson. I did that for like 2 years. Me, Spank, all of them was over there.
Remember what weight you were fighting back then? 112, 119, 127?
No, I was 118 back then.
Man, I wonder if me and you ever fought before, man. I don't remember, man.
Well, Chad, I actually ain't want to bring that up. I think I'll get you now.
I'm still nice with them things, though, bro. I'm still nice with them.
Chad, I thought you allowed to take it. I thought you would never remember that. Yeah, I think I'll get you now, Chad.
Did we fight back then?
We fought in Westfall Road also, Chad. We fought in Westfall Road, me and you. Also.
Was it in the kitchen or no?
We was walking in the kitchen. Right there in the kitchen. That was me and you fighting.
I remember you 100%, man. I remember that. I knew who you are, but I didn't remember that I had a fight.
You kicked my ass back then, Chad. I keep it real.
Man, hey, listen, I just told you before the video started I had a fight in the kitchen over the tray. That was you.
That was me. Yeah.
Tried to take my tray, bro.
Yeah.
Tried to take my food. I can't believe that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, big dog.
I'm gonna have to send you a video of me hitting the bag about 2 years ago, bro. I still got it, man.
I'll hit my bag later on and see you a video. Yeah.
Oh, good, man.
Yeah,
listen, man. I'm glad that you changed your life, man. And the biggest part of your life is, man, to come from the shit that you came from, man, and the life that we lived as kids. You know, we grew up in poverty. We grew up with parents that were drug addicted. We grew up on welfare. I grew up with kids making fun of me. You did the same shit, man. But now, man, you're doing the best thing you could be. do, and that is being a real father, a real man, a real leader, a real father. And look, man, I commend you for that, brother, for real.
I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you for that too, my brother. Yeah, man,
definitely.
You won that fight. You won. Yeah, you got me, Chad.
I definitely appreciate you, man, coming on the show, man. Anything you want to say before we get ready to go? A message to the youth? Anything that you can tell
man.
them?
Ain't no whole like fatherhood. Stay out of gangs, man. If you're a man, you say you're a man. What's gangster to me is taking care of your children. See, I'm not gonna get no blessing. I did so much wrong. My kids gonna get blessing. And everybody else, other kids I look out for, I look for other. That's gonna get the blessing. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from them gangs. Stay away from gangs. Ain't no whole life fatherhood. Failure is not an option. Stay away from that. Going to jail is cowardly. Remember, Chad, like I told my son this the other day. How I'm supposed to be gangster? I said I'm gangster, I'm busting my gun, but every jail I go to, I bend over and spread my cheeks for the white man and don't tell him nothing. Don't say nothing to this white man.
Why you gotta go with the white now? It's
I'm sorry, Chad, but this is some real shit, Chad. You call the white man the white man. When I say the white man, I'm talking about the pigs. You're not a pig.
I hear you, brother. I mean, look, I was there.
Every jail I went to, I had to bend over for that man. Every visit I went to, I had to bend over for that man. But I ain't say nothing to him. Just every time, and then he ain't had to say nothing. I just bend right over. I know the position what to do already. So how is that gangster? So that's a message to the youth. When you go to jail, you gotta bend over for the white man. You out here busting your hammer, fighting, doing all these things, but you gotta go bend over for that white man.
That's real talk, man. I'm glad that you said that, right? And I mean, I've been there. Herbert, German. I've been strip searched by both of them. Yeah. I had an incident in Comstock where I was getting ready to go home. I had made my board, and I felt like they were going to set me up and put a knife in my cell. And I really, honestly, man, I went to mental health unit. I went to the
remember that
for my last couple of days.
No, Chad, I remember. That's a fact. That's a fact.
I'm out of there, man. I thought they were going to set me up.
I remember that. That's a fact.
Didn't like me because I hung out with the Black Rochester dude.
That's a fact. Out of here. That's a fact. They was gonna put a knife. They was gonna put a knife in your cell, Chad. If you ain't that's a fact. I remember that.
Well, listen, man. I appreciate you coming on. I'm gonna tell people if you like what we're doing, man, hit that like button, subscribe. This brother turned his life around. I'm telling you, this brother was a gangster back in the day, right? But he's a father now. With respect, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.